Hello everyone. I've seen recently a lot of interest from people who are tempted to get into multifamily investing but don't know how and where to start. So I decided to create a new blog explaining how I did my first multifamily deal and kind of walk you through how I did it. Let me tell you some details about my first small multifamily. It wasn't a large one first. I had to get my feet wet and start small. It was just the way I transitioned into the business. So what was my first multifamily deal? It was actually a duplex. I would never forget this duplex. It was the first duplex multifamily that I bought. I bought it for $75,000. It was 2014. It was coming out of the financial crisis. It was an amazing deal, and it was very exciting. I was able to remodel this property and rent them out and sell and rent them individually, and I got that taste of what cash flow is, and I was hooked. For me, starting small was my path into multifamilies. Some people are very fortunate and they are surrounded by gurus, or they're just brave enough to jump into a 50, 40, 30, 16 unit. For me, that duplex was the way I needed to get into the business. I mean, for me, it was a little bit easy to find this property because I was in the business. I was buying and flipping a lot of single family homes. So it wasn't a hard transition for me because I had some construction experience and I had access to the MLS because I was a realtor and a broker. So for me, it wasn't difficult to find this opportunity. For those who are not in the business like I was, and you want to get a good deal and you want to get your feet into the game, I would contact your local realtors. They know where the deals are at. They understand the local markets. Research it with them. Find the right ones. I would actually focus on the ones that have experience with multifamilies. Most of the residential ones like to focus on residential. If you find one that has a few multifamilies under his belt and is educated locally, he could provide the accurate data, and that's what I would hire. So actually, it's funny because when I bought my first duplex, I thought I was being conservative, but as I learned later on in life, I left out so many things that I should have used to underwrite my deals. I thought multifamilies was as simple as collecting rents, paying insurance, paying taxes, and paying the mortgage. And the rest I would wing it. It doesn't work that way. There you need to calculate a lot of other items that are going to hit you, and they're going to be expenses that you're not going to see, and there's going to be vacancy, evictions, repairs, reserves that you're going to need, and there's going to be turnover. Those things I learned the hard way. I should have educated myself a little bit more when I did that back then. I wasn't watching as much YouTube videos as I should have, which is now one of the best ways to get educated. So I strongly suggest educate yourself, grab any YouTube channel that any expert in multifamilies that's out there, and me, of course, if you start with me, but anyone out there, and just get those basic things down and get your feet wet, jump in. Now, how did I finance this duplex? Well, I actually used a bridge lender or a hard money lender for this property. I paid a really high interest rate. I paid 9% for that deal. I put 20% down on a $75,000 property, which is not much. My return after renting that property was actually quite high. And after 6 months, after I stabilized it, I refinanced it and kept that property for 4 years. I ended up selling it for 3 times what I bought it. So it ended up being an amazing, profitable deal for me. So if you could use the power of buying, fixing, refinancing, getting your money out, holding on to the property, it's incredible what could happen from that type of business model. So one of my mistakes when I bought this duplex was there's a difference of an insurance for a hard money lender, and there's a difference between an insurance for an actual real lender you're going to hold this property long term. They both have different qualifications. So during your inspection period, it's very important that you underwrite this and you run this property or whatever property you're underwriting through your insurance agent. They could give you an idea of what that property is going to cost you. Especially like us here in South Florida, it will throw your numbers off when you find out, if you go in hard on your deposit, that the property is in a flood zone. It's a very common problem that gets overlooked, and it's an issue that is always flood zone is skyrocketing here all the time. So you got to pay attention to your insurance cost. There's a lot of when it comes to closing a deal that it's a great deal. There's a lot of challenges because you gotta make sure you close on time. You know, a lot of sellers are, especially in the market that we're in now, they have backup offers and multiple backup offers. So you have the challenges of you got to close on time. You got to make sure everything happens, your financing in order because your deposit's up. And some sellers are not going to give you that extension. In fact, I've seen it many times where people tie down a great deal and they're not going to close on time and they ask for an extension and the seller tells them no because they have a backup offer much higher than yours. They would like to take your deposit and take that backup offer. So the challenges of closing on time are very real and it's something that you need to consider. Another lesson that you should really start to understand is you need to educate yourself on your specific submarket when you're getting into this business. You want to learn a few submarkets, but don't try to go and learn 10, 20 submarkets. I would try to keep 1 to 5, maybe 7 submarkets that you want to focus and buy properties at, especially in the beginning. You want to know these markets well. You want to know what trends are happening, what economic growth it has, what employers it has, and those are the things you need to follow in the beginning. You know, it's very easy to get caught and try to buy properties all over in different cities, all over the state, and you don't want to do that. You want to learn those submarkets very well. You know, I am now in the business of buying big apartment buildings, but the lessons that I learned from my duplexes and the triplexes and the fourplexes are lessons that today I carry to this day. And don't get me wrong, there's a beautiful thing about buying these residential properties because they're considered residential. They're actually pretty easy to sell. You know, I had a portfolio of 20, 30 duplexes at a time, and I was consistently buying and selling these. And whenever I put them in the market, they would sell. So if I needed cash and I needed money, they were a good source of income for me because I could get rid of them quick. You kind of lose that disadvantage when you go into large apartments. So if you're getting, that's one of the benefits of starting in that level. If you buy a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex and you might have not done a good deal or it's not producing what you expected, they're easy to sell. They fly. They sell quickly to FHA and conventional buyers. So that's the beauty of that industry. You know, every transaction is different and it involves different types of financing, underwriting, and so on. But if you want to learn more about multifamily syndication, please read my blogs or watch my videos on YouTube and on social media. So I'm really excited. We did a lot of walkthroughs of properties and a lot of short videos at walking incredible multifamilies. And I'm looking forward to putting this and showing you guys what we're doing. So I'll see you next time.